The morning sun rolled over the Wyoming territory like a slow-moving fire, spreading gold across the frost-covered grass. October 1889 had arrived with sharp teeth, warning every rancher that winter was coming early. Cole Thatcher pulled his coat tighter as he rode along the rough path of Devil's Pass. His breath drifted into the cold air, while his sturdy mare, Sage, stepped carefully over rocks. Ahead of him, cattle moved in a slow line, their calls echoing through the canyon. Jake and Tom, his two ranch hands, flanked the herd. They had been driving cattle for 3 long days, trying to reach the Double T Ranch before the early snowstorms arrived. Cole's dark eyes kept scanning the ridgeline. Old habits from his scouting days never left him. He had seen danger come from calm skies before. He trusted instinct more than comfort. "Got a stray heading toward the edge," Jake called. Cole spotted the young calf, spooked and running straight toward a steep drop. Without thinking, he pushed Sage forward. The mare lunged across the rocky slope. Cole swung his rope with perfect aim, catching the calf just before its hooves slid over the rim. He pulled it back gently until the frightened animal found steady ground. "You're all right now," he said softly, brushing its side. Tom rode up and shook his head with a grin. "Still got those scout reflexes, Cole." Cole gave a small smile. Just doing what's needed. Those simple wins mattered to him. They reminded him that life could still be saved, even when the world felt heavy. And lately, the world felt heavier than usual. 15 miles south, Sagebrush Forks was waking up. Evelyn Hart stepped down from the freight car with a tired sigh. Her traveling dress was dusty, her hands stiff from the long journey. She carried only a carpetbag with 2 dresses, her teaching certificate, her mother's Bible, and $14 that had to stretch far. She came here to work, to pay debts, and to rebuild what life had taken from her family. The platform buzzed with noise as merchants unloaded goods. Horses stamped and snorted. Doors slammed. Dust floated in the sunlight like old secrets. Evelyn tightened her grip on her bag. Her mother's debts to Silas Grady had followed her even here. She walked into Grady's general store, where the smell of pickle brine and kerosene filled the air. Silas Grady stood behind the counter, a man whose smile always warned of a price. "You're here to settle your payment, Miss Hart," Grady said as he flipped open his ledger. $5, plus fees." "Fees?" Evelyn asked, her stomach sinking. "Transfer fees, handling fees, interest." She knew better than to argue. She placed 7 of her $14 on the counter. Grady smiled like a fox that hadn't even needed to chase. Outside, Evelyn took a deep breath and walked to the schoolhouse. It was a small building with wooden benches, a single blackboard, and dust dancing in the weak sunlight. It would do. It had to. Soon the children arrived, a mix of ranch kids and town little ones. One girl stayed at the doorway, watching silently with wide, dark eyes. "I'm Miss Hart," Evelyn said gently. "What's your name?" Quote. The girl didn't answer. "That's May," an older boy said. "She don't talk much since her pa died, lives with her Uncle Cole now." Evelyn's heart tightened. She reached into her bag and handed May a piece of biscuit, the one she saved for her lunch. "Would you help me pass out these cards?" Slowly, May stepped forward. A fragile trust formed in that small movement. The day brought small victories. Young Sam Mitchell finally understood addition. May matched letters to spell cat and almost smiled. When class ended, Evelyn was exhausted but proud. She walked to her rented room above the millinery shop and wrote a letter to her mother by lamplight, promising she would do her best, even with the growing weight of Grady's added fees. Miles away, Cole and his men camped for the night. The fire cracked, warming their hands as the sky grew dark. Jake passed him coffee. "You're thinking too hard again," Jake said. "Wondering what this winter will bring," Cole said. Jake shrugged. "Snow, cold, us trying to keep cattle alive." But Cole knew winter wasn't the only threat. Grady had been circling him for months, trying to pressure him to sell his land that held the best water source in miles, and without water, no ranch survived. Cole looked into the fire. He thought of his niece, May, barely speaking since her father, Cole's brother, had died. He thought of the town's debts, the whispers about Grady buying everything he could. Winter wasn't the only storm coming. Across the valley, Evelyn finished her letter and blew out her lamp. She prayed for strength. For her mother, for her students, for herself. Neither she nor Cole knew that their paths were moving toward each other, like two storm fronts meeting over the same creek where cold water ran over ancient stones. Soon, one quiet Saturday afternoon at that creek would change everything. The October sun brought an unexpected warmth that afternoon, fighting against the early frost that had settled across Wyoming. The wind was calm for once, carrying only the scent of sage and the sound of water running through the creek outside Sagebrush Forks. Evelyn walked along the narrow path with a small bundle of laundry in her arms. It was Saturday, the only day she had to wash her clothes without rushing between lessons. Mrs. Patterson had told her the unspoken rule of the town. Women used the creek in shifts. Married women early morning, working women close to noon, ranch wives in the afternoon. Evelyn chose a quiet spot downstream, hidden behind willows and cottonwoods. The water sparkled through the branches, cool and clear, running over smooth stones. Her two dresses and underthings needed scrubbing. She knelt by the water, rolling up her sleeves. The cold stung her fingers, but the steady motion calmed her mind. For a while, she forgot the debts, forgot the struggle to gain the town's trust, forgot Grady's sharp eyes following her whenever she passed his store. When she finished washing, she spread her clothes over the bushes to dry. She looked down at herself. Dust clung to her dress, sweat marked her collar, and her skin felt tight with grime from days of teaching in a drafty schoolhouse. A moment of peace. Just one. She checked both sides of the creek. No one. She stepped into the water. The shock made her gasp at first, but soon the cold loosened her muscles. She submerged to her shoulders, running her fingers through her hair and letting the chill wash the week away. For those quiet minutes, she was simply Evelyn, not a teacher, not a woman running from debt, not someone fighting for respect. Just a young woman letting clear water carry her worries downstream. She didn't know she was not alone. Cole Thatcher had been riding the eastern edge of his ranch all morning. Someone had cut his fence again, the wire snapped clean. Grady's men, no doubt, testing him, pushing him, waiting for him to break. Cole needed proof before going to Sheriff Pike, so he marked the broken section in his notebook. He rubbed Sage's neck. "We'll water at the creek, girl, then head to town." He followed the trail down the slope toward the water. Halfway there, he heard a splash. Too big for a deer, too soft for a cow, too gentle for a bear. Cole stopped. Voices carried differently near water. He listened carefully. Another splash. Then the soft sound of a woman's breath catching. He froze. Through a thin screen of willow branches, he saw something that made him turn away so sharply he nearly stumbled. A woman bathing. He didn't see her clearly. Only the pale shape of shoulders, the sweep of hair, the movement of someone trying to cleanse themselves in peace. His face heated with embarrassment, and he backed away immediately, keeping his eyes firmly on the ground. "Ma'am," he called, staying behind the willows. "I'm sorry. I didn't know anyone was here. I'm leaving my coat on this branch to let you know which way I went. I won't look back." He placed his canvas duster on a low branch, then took Sage up the trail and tied her well out of sight. His heart thudded hard. Of all the places in the territory, and all the moments to ride into one, it had to be this one. He waited. He wasn't leaving until he knew she was safe. But neither he nor Evelyn knew another man was there. Bert Hutchkins, one of Grady's hired hands, had been sleeping off whiskey in the brush upstream. The splashes woke him. He crawled closer, thinking he might witness something he could use. When he saw the shape of a woman in the water and then noticed Cole Thatcher turning his back, Bert's crooked mind found a cruel opportunity. He pulled a dirty scrap of paper from his pocket and sketched quickly. Not truth, not what happened, Something worse, something twisted, something Grady would pay for. Then, he slipped away like a snake, heading toward town with a smirk. By the time Evelyn dressed, her peace had shattered. She saw the coat almost immediately. Clean canvas, worn from work, carefully placed. Her face flushed with embarrassment. The man had been respectful. He had tried to protect her privacy. Her hands trembled as she gathered her washing bundle. She hurried home, unaware of the wildfire already spreading. That evening, crude handbills began appearing in saloons, under doors, on tables. Men whispered. Women gasped. The words on the handbill were bold and filthy. The virgin bathing by the creek didn't know. Her first night would belong to the cowboy who watched. Quote, below it, a rough illustration, nothing like what had actually happened, suggested something shameful, indecent, dangerous to her reputation. Cole heard the whispers first at Murphy's saloon. When Jake slid one of the handbills toward him, Cole felt his stomach twist. He read it once, then again. His jaw tightened. Where did this come from? Jake shook his head, found a stack under the saloon door. Cole stood, voice low and deadly. Anyone spreading these lies will answer to me. Across town, Evelyn returned to her boarding house room, unaware of the full storm until she found a folded paper under her door. When she opened it, the words stabbed into her chest. The awful drawing made her knees give out. She dropped onto her narrow bed, fighting tears and terror. A knock sounded. "Miss Hart," Mrs. Patterson said, voice stiff. "A gentleman is asking for you in the parlor. Says it's urgent." Evelyn wiped her face, steadied her breath, and walked down the creaking stairs. She froze when she saw him. Cole Thatcher stood waiting, weathered, strong, angry on her behalf. "Miss Hart," he said, taking off his hat, "I owe you an apology. I was the one at the creek today." Her breath caught. He continued softly, "I left as soon as I realized. I did nothing improper, but someone else was there, and they're spreading lies." "Why?" she whispered. "Because they want the town divided, because they want me broken, and they don't care if you get caught in the crossfire." Cole stepped forward, eyes steady. "I swear to you, I'll stop this. I'll clear your name. My word is good in this town." For a moment, her fear eased. For a moment, she believed him. But outside, the storm of gossip grew louder. And by morning, the whole town would turn against her. The morning after the scandal broke, Sagebrush Forks felt different. Doors closed quickly when Evelyn walked past. Parents pulled their children closer. The weight of every whisper pressed on her chest like a stone. She kept her chin high, but inside she felt herself cracking. At the blacksmith shop, Nora Byrne hammered iron with more force than needed. She paused only long enough to say, "Cole told me what really happened. You hold your head up, Miss Hart. You've done nothing wrong." Evelyn managed a small nod. "Thank you." But not everyone was as kind. When she reached the mercantile, Martha Holcomb stepped out, blocking the doorway. "We will not have indecency from a schoolteacher," Martha hissed. "Children look up to you." Evelyn held her ground. "Ma'am, nothing improper happened." "People talk," Martha snapped, "and talk spreads." Evelyn moved past her wordlessly, refusing to break in public. But she felt every stare like a burning brand. Across town, Cole Thatcher gathered his men. What had started as a cruel rumor had become a weapon aimed at both him and Evelyn, and he knew exactly whose hand held it: Silas Grady. By mid-afternoon, the damaged handbills had spread like wildfire. Some men laughed, some were shocked, some believed the disgusting lie simply because they wanted to. Cole stormed into Sheriff Pike's office. "You need to shut this down," he demanded. Pike looked uneasy. "I can't stop printed papers, Cole. Folks have the right to—" "They do not have the right to destroy a woman's life with lies," Cole growled. "Find who did it." Sheriff Pike rubbed his face. "I'll do what I can." It wasn't enough, and soon the whole town would know it. That evening the storm broke, not from the sky but from the people. As Evelyn walked home from the schoolhouse, a loud crowd gathered near the church. Voices rose sharply. Someone shouted her name. Another voice snapped back. More voices joined, clashing like thunder. Evelyn froze. Cole was already there, standing tall in the thick of it. "Anyone who calls Miss Hart a liar," Cole said, voice hard as iron, "is calling me a liar too, and I don't take kindly to that." Mrs. Dworth stepped forward, nose sharp as a knife. "You expect us to believe nothing happened? A man and a young woman alone in the woods." Cole cut her off. "I turned my back the second I realized she was there. I left my coat so she'd know which way I went. That's the truth." "Convenient," someone muttered. A hush fell. May Thatcher stepped forward from behind Cole's leg. The quiet, fragile little girl who barely spoke lifted her chin. "Miss Hart is good," May said, loud enough for all to hear. "She teaches me. Uncle Cole didn't do anything wrong. Stop being mean." It stunned the crowd. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. Cole looked down at May, pride and pain mixing in his eyes. He rested a hand on her shoulder. "Anyone who wants to accuse me," Cole said calmly, "can do it to my face." No one stepped forward. "And anyone who wants to run Miss Hart out of town," he added, "will have to go through me." Slowly, the crowd thinned. Arguments softened. Eyes dropped. Rumors lost their confidence. Evelyn stepped forward, breath trembling. "Mr. Thatcher, thank you." "You don't owe me thanks," Cole said. "Just truth." "You have it," she whispered. For a moment their eyes held, two tired souls finding a single quiet place to rest. But the storm wasn't done. 2 days later, a blizzard rolled in, fierce, sudden, and deadly. School let out early. Parents rushed home, but May stayed behind, waiting for Cole. Snow thickened to a white wall. Evelyn looked outside. "Your uncle is late." May wrote on her slate, "Uncle Cole comes for me." "He will," Evelyn said, lighting the stove, "but we need to stay warm." Minutes later, the door blew open. Cole stumbled in, covered in snow. "Storm hit fast. We can't stay here. This building won't hold. We have to get to the ranch. Now." Evelyn stared in shock. "We can't walk in this." "We can," Cole said firmly. "I'll lead." He tied a rope around himself, then looped it around May, then Evelyn. "Stay close. Do not let go." They stepped into the storm. The wind was a living beast. It slammed into them, howling and sharp. Evelyn held the rope with numb fingers. May stumbled. Evelyn caught her. Cole pulled them forward, inch by inch. After what felt like hours, the outline of the Double T Ranch appeared through the white blur. Cole pushed the door open, dragging May and Evelyn inside. Heat rushed over them. The fire roared in the hearth. Evelyn immediately knelt beside May, checking her hands, her face. "She's cold. We need blankets." Cole dashed into the next room. When he returned, he handed Evelyn a warm quilt, then held May close until her shivering eased. Evelyn realized something then. This man had risked his life for them without hesitation. Later, as the storm raged outside, they sat at the kitchen table, wrapped in blankets, sharing strong coffee. Evelyn looked at Cole across the flickering lamplight. "Thank you for saving us." He shook his head. "You saved May. You kept her calm. You're the one who—" A loud thud shook the barn outside. Cole's face hardened. "Someone's out there." Before Evelyn could speak, Cole grabbed his rifle and stepped into the storm. "Cole!" she cried, fear ripping through her. Minutes later, he returned, dragging 2 injured ranch hands. "Grady's men," Jake rasped. "They tried to scatter your horses. Wanted them lost in the storm." Cole's jaw clenched. "This ends now." The next morning, when the storm cleared, Sheriff Pike arrived. Behind him came half the town, some ashamed, some worried, some ready for truth. Evelyn stood beside Cole on the porch, May gripping her hand tightly. Pike raised a stack of papers. "Grady's printing press was found in his back room," he announced. "The plate's still set for the handbills about Miss Hart. He printed them, all of them." Gasps spread across the gathered crowd. Cole stepped forward. "You used Evelyn to get to me. You dragged her through the dirt. No more." The sheriff nodded. "Silas Grady is under arrest." People turned to Evelyn, not with suspicion this time, but guilt. Mrs. Patterson stepped forward. "Miss Hart, we wronged you." Evelyn swallowed hard. "I forgive you." Cole slipped his hand into hers, warm and steady. The town watched. So did May, her small fingers wrapped around Evelyn's. Something gentle and strong settled between the three of them. A quiet promise. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, Cole walked Evelyn to her buggy. "You're safe now," he said softly. She looked up at him, heart full. "Because of you." "Because of us," he corrected. Slowly, he reached out and brushed a loose strand of hair from her cheek. His voice dropped to a whisper. "When winter ends, I want to court you properly, Evelyn Hart." Her breath caught. "I'd like that." He leaned closer, but instead of kissing her, he touched her hand. Warm, steady, sure. "Spring," he said, "is when new things grow." And as Evelyn rode back to town, May waving from the porch, and Cole standing tall beside her, she realized something. Her life wasn't falling apart. It was just beginning.